A few friends and myself were hanging out at my house bored one night and started telling stories about things we've seen or felt to scare each other. My girlfriend at the time had lived in the area a lot longer than most of us and started telling us about the abandoned mental hospital that was only about half-hour away from my house. She told us that somewhere on its grounds were entrances to the underground tunnels and rooms that kept some of the buildings and sidewalks warm. We decided to go out there and look for ourselves, and after roaming the halls and rooms for a while, we came across some steps. Once we got to the basement, we found one of the tunnels, so I walked over to shine my flashlight down the hall to see where it went. The hall was so long, I couldn't see the end of it. My flashlight couldn't reach and it was just black at the other side. I couldn't see any doorway or even a tunnel that crossed its path with this one. But as I'm looking down this tunnel, I see a figure kind of slide halfway out of a doorframe. I didn't see it before. It's sitting with its knees up to its chin, with both arms resting on its knees, overlapping each other. It's skinny, like leather over bones, and very pale. Its eyes were like softball size, and they were glowing in this weird bluish yellow-white colour. At this point, I'm sort of crouched down staring back at this thing. I can't even think straight to get myself to move away from the hall. And then it spoke to me. Not outright, but in my head. I'll never forget what it said.
Come on. Come on down here and see what we have. Come over. Come on.
I stood up. I didn't want to, but I took a step. Every muscle in my body wanted to turn around and leave, but I couldn't. As soon as I took that first step, I felt something grab my arm, and I heard a different voice say into my head, "Run!" I turned and ran. They caught up and we raced out that place. We didn't stop once until we got back to our town at a White Castle. We found handprints on his bumper near his rear window. Needless to say, I've never gone back to that place. And I really need to stress, this actually happened and is not just a story.
This is the third and most terrifying experience I have ever had with the paranormal. This was when I was stationed on a ship, and I was assigned to take an inventory of the products we have in the bottom of the ship, which is the freezer of frozen goods. Now mind you, I am alone, and the freezer is enormous, almost covering the entire bottom of the ship. There are also so many items within the freezer that sometimes stock are piled up on the ground, and we have to climb over, squeezing between the ceiling of the room and frozen boxes. I have a large coat on, so at this point in time I'm sort of warm and still freezing at the same time. I'm Hawaiian grown, so I'm not used to the chill. Just thought I'd add that since I know some people are used to the cold. Not me though. Okay, so I'm taking inventory of the items in the freezer when I hear footsteps behind me, and thinking it's one of my co-workers, I just ignore it and continue with my work. I start to think about it and realize that the footsteps are lighter than my usual large and heavy steps my co-workers make. I turn around and see this little girl in a polka dot dress looking up at me. At this point in time, we are stationed at shore, and the ship regularly schedules tours of the entire vessel. So I think she just got lost, and ask her, "Hey, sorry, but you're not supposed to be here." She looks like a normal little girl between the ages of 7 and 8 or around there. She doesn't say anything, but she just keeps looking at me. I start to get nervous and ask her if she'd like to go back to her parents. So I reach out to hold her hand when she just starts kind of walking, but speed walking. It's hard to explain. If you ever watched the movie Gothica, it's the scene where the ghost walks slowly and then speeds up and then slows down and then speeds up again. She does this and goes further into the freezer, and I completely freak out. No human being should be able to make those sort of movements. I book it out of there and run up the ladder, well, like my life depended on it. I was fumbling like it was nobody's business. I rushed to my supervisor, who was just watching the other workers doing their business, and I tell him what happened. He begins to tell me that there were no tours being conducted during that time, and he looks completely unshaken, despite my freaking crazy story. He sits me down and tells me the event of when an officer brought his family to the ship to show them around. The officer's daughter fell down the steep ladder, and died. He said that people sometimes see her down there. I said, "Fuck that shit. I'm not going back down there on my own." Needless to say, I was always with 2 other people when I went down there again.
This is a short and simple story. You may have had a similar occurrence, and I think something like this isn't rare, as I've been told. This happened to me about 10 years ago, when I was 11 or 12. I hadn't had contact with my grandfather for years. He was an alcoholic and smoked way too much. He had several surgeries but kept destroying his body. He was kind of asking for it. So one night I had a dream about him dying. The main reason why it was weird was because I hadn't thought about him for a long time, at least a few years. Why would I dream about him suddenly? Anyway, another thing that really disturbed me about this dream, it wasn't scary, it was the opposite actually. It was happy and chill. I saw him laying on the couch, smiling, but dead. I was happy for him for some reason, which weirded me out when I woke up and thought about it. However, during the dream, it was a very relaxing experience. So when I woke up, I instantly went to my mum. I don't recall exactly what I said. I just sat next to her. I think she was watching TV and I joined her. She then got a phone call and started to cry. She slowly starts talking. "I have to tell you something." My response was just, "I already know about Grandpa." She wasn't shocked that I already knew about it for some reason. I suppose she was just still processing that he had died. I'm glad I could prove to at least one person that I actually had this dream prediction by interrupting her during her sentence, even though it was kinda rude. Anyway, this is my story. This might actually be the only paranormal experience where I'm 100% sure that it actually did happen. Update. The way he was sitting on the couch was most likely how it happened in real life. since he got a stroke during the night. That's why the couch makes perfect sense. Because my grandma didn't realise it. That means she was sleeping in her bed whilst my grandpa was sleeping on the couch. I've just been told that she found him dead next morning. I never asked about the details because I didn't want to be intrusive. Hey guys, it's Mort here and thank you so much for listening. I want to give a huge shout out to the Killer Orange Cat who helped me in this collaboration. Please be sure to check out the video over on his channel and see the other side of what we made. He's incredibly talented with great stories, so definitely someone worth your subscription. And if you enjoyed these stories, it would be great if you could let me know by leaving a like, comment or sharing this video with a friend. If you want to keep up to date with all new videos, be sure to spam that subscribe button and join the coven. Also, if you have an experience you want to share, be sure to send it to my email, which can be found in the description below. I just need one more story to make my first subscriber special, guys, so if you have one, I would love to hear it. And whilst you're still here, why not check out some of my other content by clicking on the links on screen now. But lastly, I just want to say thank you guys. Your support on this channel really means a great deal to me with every like, comment and subscription, so seriously thank you so much, as it's you guys that keeps this channel going. So thanks for watching guys, and I'll catch you in the next one. Stay awesome.